I like to think that I've had a lot of practice and that I can sound very natural, but for me also I have my orange Fanta here, which helps because I said I was gonna get water, but instead I got orange Fanta because that's a lot healthier.
How dare you? How dare you? Anyway, this is the Game Library podcast where one of us suggests a game and then we play it and then we talk about it next week and then we do that over and over until we die.
How dark?
Shoosh. I guess. Yeah. So
I guess we're just kicking into it like that.
yeah,
what a great start. All right.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So let's introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm Zanza. I suggested this week's game, but you'll figure it out.
Yeah. I mean,
We'll get into that later. We talk about other stuff first. Also, I'm Sylvia. Hello.
Yeah, and I am Austin or Patronix. I mean, depends. Patronix is my screen name, but most people that know me just call me Austin. But yeah, as Zanza was saying,
want to piss him off.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you're a very specific there are very few people that can call me Patty, and now that
anyway,
yeah, let's not get into that. Basically, as Zanza was saying, the whole deal with this is that we're a bunch of nerds and we like video games, and so we decided, hey, why don't we do like a book club kind of deal, but with video games, where like every week one of the three of us suggests a video game that the three of us will play. We'll play as much of it as we can, try to complete it, and then we'll talk about it along with just other gaming news and gaming stuff in general, because again, we're all nerds. Yeah, so Game Library, Zanza said, that's the title of the thing. It's gonna be kind of casual, just in general. I don't think we have like a complete set schedule of how often we're doing this quite yet, but
Yeah, like my thought process was that for short games we can do it like because I think the time between the podcast generally depends on the length of the game. So like let's say it's like a shorter game, like this week's, then we can say, we'll just do it in a week, or if everyone can make it, of course, that's also a factor.
Yeah.
But and then let's say there's like a slightly longer game, like it's not really long, but it's kind of like in the middle, Then we give us 2 weeks, and then if it's a really long game, like Xenoblade Chronicles, which I will make you all play at some point.
I mean, to be honest, I was planning on suggesting it eventually if you didn't. So
yeah, I mean, I'm swearing on my life force here. I'll make you play it eventually, and I guess Patronix will also make you play it eventually.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah,
So yeah.
Yeah, the one other thing,
but for those we would have it like be longer, like it would be like a month.
Yeah, something along those lines. We'll figure out an exact schedule for how exactly we're doing this. One other thing, because we started introducing. Well, actually, I'll say two things. One, the shorter one. I feel like I don't want to put like Sylvia, because she's the one that's going to be picking next time's game. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I was thinking it could be like a good idea that if at the end of this podcast we say what we'll be doing. So if there's anybody that's
I have an idea for it. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Because if there's anybody that's watching and wants to play along and know what we're talking about for the next session,
definitely.
So and then there's that.
I'm thinking what we should do is that at the end of every podcast they say it, and they also say how long the game will be, like whether or not we're going for like one of those 1 week, 2 week, or 1 month kind of things, because that way it also lets anyone watching know generally when the next episode would come out.
Something along those lines, yeah.
Yeah.
And then as for the other thing I wanted to say, and I guess this can be kind of our first topic of discussion, kind of. I don't think we should dwell on it for too long, but seeing as how this is the first episode of the podcast, I feel like we started introducing ourselves, but I feel like it's kind of important that if we have any sort of anything that we want to promote about ourselves, or like say like who we are exactly, besides just these people that are talking, I feel like
I am a useless nerd. The end.
I mean,
who loves human contact and gets none.
Rip.
I feel like if since this is the first episode, just in case people don't know,
suffering. Just
in case people don't know anything about us, which there's a very 99% chance that you don't. So
everyone knows about me. What are you talking about?
So
he has a whole 10 subscribers on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, bow down,
So I don't know. We haven't decided exactly where we're going to be uploading these yet, But depending on where we are, I guess I'll start off because, I want to. As for who I am, as I said before, I'm Austin or Patronix, and depending on how far back you've been on there, you might know it as Patronix123 because I am horrible. I used to do YouTube stuff. I tried doing Let's Plays and Smash Brothers videos. Were horrible.
You made a JoJo meme
I'm getting to
video.
that. I'm getting to that. Yeah. So I made. I used to make Let's Plays and Smash Brothers stuff, whether it be Alpharad shameless copy montages or just various other things of Smash Brothers, because Smash Brothers is kind of very important to me. But I used to do YouTube stuff, and then when high school started kicking in for me around that time, I just sort of stopped, and that also went for Twitch streaming, because I used to do that. Nowadays, if people know me, they either know me from my somehow smash hit JoJo memes on my YouTube channel that have like a bajillion views for whatever reason, because JoJo, yeah. Or as of lately, and these two fine fellows are also involved in this, basically for most of 2018 thus far, and even a little bit before that for my own personal endeavors, I've gotten back into Twitch streaming, but primarily for tabletop RPGs, so like Dungeons and Dragons, and then other stuff, mostly Anime Campaign, which is a system created by Jello Apocalypse, who's a YouTuber.
And you have like it's like a thing where you randomly generate words and then you pick one, and that's your character's superpower, and they're themed around that word.
Yeah, think of it as like a quirk from My Hero Academia. And so basically, over the past year or so, I've been relatively active in tabletop RPG kind of stuff on my Twitch channel, whether it be my own personal campaign, plugging Madness Ensues right here, or we have our own personal project that all three of us are involved in, along with a bunch of other people, called Destruction Bench Agreement, which is mostly weekly tournament, quote-unquote, kind of a thing that we do in the Anime Campaign format. So I'm sure in the description I'll include a link to the Twitch channel if this sounds like...
Or Zanza will. Depends on who does it.
We generally record episodes every Saturday when we can, at like 3 p.m. Eastern, but sometimes it changes.
Yeah, so if that sounds at all intriguing to you, then make sure to check out that link.
Investigate it.
But besides that, I mean, I guess if we're just ending off my stuff, I guess the main thing for me is that I will be, as of this recording, it is around a month until I go for my first year of art college, hopefully be animation major, most likely. And, it's a very exciting time in my life personally. So that's kind of what my whole deal is, and my quote-unquote presence online, if I even would consider that. Mostly I'm just a shit poster. But
same.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have any sort of anything like that to say. I just figured that if people wanted to get to know us, then it'd be kind of cool.
I get that.
Yeah, I'm the best.
Well, yeah. That
I don't
goes
need to say
without
anything
saying.
else.
Like we
Sylvia?
said, 10 subscribers.
Exactly.
Yeah, like 10 No, I'm a part of DBA, Destructive Bench Agreement, and also I'm working on my own personal project for a kind of fine dining group that's also from the Anime Campaign system, but that'll hopefully come out before the summer ends. Other than that, I've been meaning to do like YouTube videos that are like kind of heavily scripted review kind of things, but then I always kind of end up falling off on them. So one of these days I will do it for serious, but I don't know when
Today
that is.
Today is not that day.
Today is not that day.
Yeah.
I guess for me, hi, I'm Sylvia. I enjoy Sylveons massively, and I am a very intriguing person, I guess. The only two things of tabletop, 3 things, I guess, that come to mind are I do a JoJo's Bizarre Tabletop Stargazers, is what I call it. What everyone else calls it, really, because that's what it's called. It's about the squad of the worst end users that side of Oregon.
Yeah, you know.
And I'm working on a more in-depth system of my own creation that I'm titling, at least in the beta form that it is currently in, The Mysteries of Apartment 38B.
Oh boy.
That's all that there is to me, really.
Yeah. So as we were kind of saying earlier, we're just a bunch of nerds
Yeah.
with varying interests, and with this podcast, we're planning on talk about video games. So seeing as how we've introduced ourselves, before we get into our game of the week, because we chose a game beforehand to start it off with, just because we figured.
But first, we got a series of topics to talk about before we get to the game. So first one, what is your Smash Bros. Main, and why is it Waluigi?
So I guess our first on our little topic discussion list here is like Smash Brothers mains, and by extension, I'm going to just say Smash Brothers Ultimate. And I know I mentioned earlier that Smash Brothers is very important to me, and it's like my favorite thing. And again, if there are somehow people in this that used to watch my content, they probably know.
Number one, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, first off, yeah, exactly. Number one, I'm sorry. My first Let's Play was Sonic Boom. Like, come the fuck on. Anyway, so there's that. Then, so if you used to watch my content, I used to put out a lot of Smash stuff, and Smash is super good, and I was known for, at least among the very small people that watched my stuff, I was known for being the guy that screamed my head off when Mewtwo DLC was announced for Smash Wii U and Smash for the DS, and similarly freaking out over me wanting Ridley in the game and then being very disappointed when I saw him as a stage boss in Pyrosphere. But Smash Ultimate's here, and now my boy Ridley's playable. And,
hell yeah. I love that space dragon.
Yeah, man, I love. Yeah, and it's I'm very excited about Smash Ultimate because I don't know.
To see.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody cares about my feelings about Smash Ultimate necessarily. If anyone was curious, but yeah,
nah, no one's curious.
Yeah, no one's curious. But Smash Ultimate for me, I am super incredibly hyped. And if we're gonna lead into Smash Brothers mains, I'm filthy Sonic the Hedgehog trash.
Leave.
Yeah, I will. Okay. But yeah, I love Sonic. I mean, Sonic is equally a biggest part of my childhood as Smash Brothers is, and so when Sonic was in Smash, it was like, oof. And then I haven't dropped them since. And I always loved Ice Climbers, and then they weren't in Smash 4, but now they're in Smash Ultimate, so I'm gonna definitely give them a go. And we're gonna see how they go. But yeah, Sonic is definitely a thing, and then I've swapped mains around, at least in Smash 4's lifespan. Like I swear I've mained half the roster, but some of the more consistent. The only one that I've had the entire time has been Sonic, and then Shulk I started out maining, and then like he's just sort of a character I play constantly, but I don't consider him a main because I'm not super great with him, like at least competitively. But yeah,
I get that completely because I'm bad at everybody. Listen, I'm going to be upfront and say that I'm a terrible person, and in Smash 4 I play Cloud.
Well, I mean,
a lot.
I mean,
and
okay.
I'm bad as him.
I mean,
I
but
don't
isn't
know
Cloud
how.
really good?
Cloud's
He
super
is,
good,
and
yeah.
I somehow managed to be bad as him.
I know when he was first released, at least. That was an awful line. No, wasn't it like he had crazy frame data or something?
I mean, you say that like he still doesn't. Like his.
Oh, well, I thought he got nerfed.
I mean, he did a little. It's been a while. It's been a while since I looked over the patches. I think he got nerfed very slightly, but like generally, Cloud has been very amazing since release, and it's my personal opinion that while he is amazing, especially in doubles where he's just okay, but it's always my opinion, at least I always, as a Sonic main, I never had as much trouble with the Cloud matchup as a lot of other people say that they do. But with Smash Ultimate,
like how does that work? How does Sonic beat out Cloud?
So the main thing for me is when I play Sonic, because whenever people hear Sonic mains, especially in Smash 4, well, I say that like people played Sonic in Brawl, which they didn't. But
who did they play, Kappa?
I wonder which of the one or two characters that, I mean, and even that, alright, so it's either, alright, well, we get the joke.
Anyway.
So when it comes to Sonic, the first image that comes to mind when they hear Sonic main are the super campy, just, runaway, constant spin dash camp thing. And me personally, while I recognize that is technically the most effective way to play Sonic, I find that very boring, so I play super rushdown Sonic. And because of that, when I'm playing Super Rushdown, because Sonic is like, you know, super fast, who is like one of the, you know, characters that can actually outspeed Cloud. Not that Cloud is like the fastest, but he's still pretty fast. And so playing as a character like Sonic who can like dart all around Cloud, and while Cloud has insane like neutral range with his sword, and like his disjoints and everything, and his up air and all that jazz. Sonic, I mean, he can, you know, run. He can actually escape some of like those scenarios. And once you get Cloud off the edge, one thing that I always find whenever I see Sonic stuff, I feel everyone sleeps on the spring as a edge guarding tool, especially against characters like Cloud, because it completely stops his momentum and then he just dies. And I mean, I'm by no means like an absolute pro player. I like to think that I'm pretty decent, but the Cloud matchup, I mean, what makes Cloud amazing besides his like frame data is that like all of his limit moves kill super early. You know, his recovery with limits pretty good. His disjoints and his range on his sword is crazy. Like his, no landing lag. Yeah, I mean, finishing touch is pretty good. Don't get me wrong, but like nothing compared to limit cross slash, which kills at like 70. But like, yeah, Cloud is just super good. But the thing is about Smash Ultimate is that they nerfed him in ways that doesn't destroy his character. So I'm very excited to see Cloud, because it's not like people won't be playing him, because he's still good. They just nerfed him, at least according to this is with the demo.
Yeah.
So we don't know
like,
for sure.
I heard that like one of the ways they nerfed him is his limit. If he doesn't use it in a certain amount of time, he just loses it.
Yeah, it's 15 seconds. Yeah, it takes, once he gets it, it's 15 seconds. And while he's charging his limit, if he gets hit, it goes away. Like, it's a bunch of little stuff like that. And it, sorry about that. It makes Cloud definitely more balanced, and there's just small things, but yeah. But besides that, I don't want. How about you, Zanza? Well, besides Waluigi.
Yeah. I mean, I think we should. If we're talking about Smash, we should go back to the dawn of time, because I don't know. I haven't ever been super into Smash, and that's mostly because the only Smash game I ever owned was Brawl, and I owned Brawl when I was very small bab. And so it was my first kind of like even close to fighting game. And so all I did was I saw the roster, I saw Meta Knight, and I didn't realize that he was crazy overpowered, because, you know, of course I didn't have the internet. Well, what's that? But like, I really loved the Kirby games, but like I played them religiously. And so I thought, oh, there's Meta Knight. No, there's Meta Knight.
Vegemite.
There's Meta Knight in the game. I need to play him. And then I also didn't know that you could press A to attack. So I just spammed neutral B to beat every fight.
I mean, to be fair, people did that in tournament too, so you know.
Exactly.
But it was so, like I didn't even like use a real kill move like to finish it off when they were high enough. I just did it until they died.
Yeah.
And whenever I had people over, they always got upset. And whenever I beat the entire, like every part where you need to play him in the story mode thing, I beat every NPC by just doing that over and over and over. And I don't know why.
Rush?
I almost did. I almost beat the boss rush of Brawl using just neutral B on Meta Knight. But
nice.
Eventually, I stopped playing the game because I realized it was bad, and also everyone stopped playing it because they also realized it was bad. And so Smash 4 came out.
Yeah.
I mean, like you can play Brawl. I'd play Brawl for nostalgia, but I would never like.
Well, yeah.
I would never play it seriously. Like even like when I tried to experiment with other stuff, like towards the end of my thing, playing Brawl.
Yeah.
I didn't really get into it that much, but and then I remember the day I first even started getting interested in Smash at all was the day that they announced Shulk, because Xenoblade Chronicles is my favorite game ever, and as you can tell by my name, and it was like a dream come true, and I was so happy. Too bad, apparently Shulk is like like mid tier or lower mid tier, right?
Yeah,
I think
he's
lower mid tier.
He's like lower mid tier, low tier kind of thing, and it's mostly because of his frame data and how awful it is.
Yeah, but like, so I could never practice him because, of course, I didn't own the game. But whenever Smash 4 is within the vicinity, I just insta-lock Shulk. I play the shirtless skin, and then I just counter spam because I don't know any of the techniques you do to play him. So I just kept doing it, and it got to the point where people would say counter the same second I did it, and it would get so annoying. I could be read like an open book, and so I was in comparison. Most of the other people I know, like you, Sylvia, aren't really like this.
Yeah.
He said 1 sec. I think he has to.
Yeah, 1 sec.
Yeah.
Like I know you aren't really like this, Sylvia, because we've played Smash together. But a lot of people I know who play Smash 4 are like really, they try to be really competitive, and so they play the game all the time, and they're crazy good. And meanwhile, I'm just pressing down B over and over in the same location, and it was just not very fun. And I didn't have the time to practice because I didn't own the game.
I have a lot to say about Smash, but I'm sorry to interrupt, if I may.
Yeah. I'm almost.
Okay,
you
go ahead. No. It's fine.
Okay. And so, now that Smash 4 is a thing, I actually, assuming I get a Switch, which I probably will, I am definitely going to try to get good at the game. But at the same time, I'm gonna main Pichu. Because I feel like they're doing. Why would they bring Pichu back unless they have some kind of secret plan? Think
that's kind of what I'm thinking too.
You know, all these people out here playing checkers. I've been playing chess for years. I know what's going on. I think my theory is that Pichu is like, he's gonna have all like the bad moves that deal damage to him, but they're gonna make his frame data the best out of the whole cast to augment it. And they're just gonna make him. They're just gonna make him like a crazy combo machine.
We'll have to see about
that's
that.
my secret theory.
All right.
That is my secret theory.
We'll have to see how that turns out.
Yeah. Because they didn't add Waluigi, so I got to do something,
Yeah.
So I guess I have a lot to say. Number one, Melee was the game of my childhood, and I could not play Fox.
Well, yeah.
I doubt that's surprising to anybody, but it's been so long that I forget who I actually played Pichu and Mewtwo a lot. I remember that much.
Yes. Was he broken? How good was he?
Pichu was garbage.
Yeah.
I believe you.
I also played Kirby a ton, actually.
Well, yeah. I mean, if we're talking competitive, all garbage. But
yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't Kirby considered lower than Pichu?
Yes, he is considered the worst. He is considered the worst.
And there was also I also played Young Link a lot. I liked a lot of characters. I played a lot on Pokemon Stadium. I played a lot in Lower Norfair, despite how the music combined with Kraid in the background
Brinstar Depths,
terrified me as a child.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that music very well. I remember like the spooky church-esque bells, and I also remember playing Big Blue a lot.
Oh boy, yeah.
Big Blue was just like, I forget who said it, but I once heard like, turn on items, go to Big Blue, play with 4 friends. It's gonna be a farce. It's gonna be a blast.
Well, yeah.
Good shit. I fucking love Big Blue. Why isn't Big Blue a competitive map? Why?
Oh, well, I mean,
why Game Freak?
What a question. Yeah, why Game Freak?
That's the company that makes it, right? Yeah.
But so the interesting things don't stop there. After that brawl happened, and my little child mind exploded. I was shocked that there was like another of my second favorite game, first being Sonic Adventure 2. Oof. And then I played that a lot. I also enjoyed Metaton a ton. I said Metaton.
Yeah, he was in Brawl.
Well, no. You see, this is just a
Knight.
lure. You see,
Excuse
Sylvia as
me.
a plant trying to hint the presence of Sans Undertale.
I mean, yeah, we already have Sans in
Exactly.
Smash though. So
Oh, you're
like,
right. Yeah, we do. It's been like in all of them, right?
Oh
Yeah,
my-
he's in every single one of them.
Speaking of, I am dead serious when I say in Smash 4 I have faced off against a me that was Sans and he mained Ness. I
Yeah,
hated it.
yeah.
So anyway, I loved Meta Knight. I played with the edgy skin because I was an edgy child.
Yeah, you know.
Of course.
I played. Oh my god, the Team Galactic music in Brawl was the most infuriating thing for me because as a kid, I could go on a rant about how much I love Diamond, Platinum, and Pearl, but that was just the coolest music ever to me, and I tried my hardest to unlock it at any given opportunity.
And it never unlocked?
It never.
Same! Oh, I fucking... Because it's like, okay, so that specific song plays like in the Subspace Emissary thing.
Yeah, and I was like, "This is so cool! How can I get it?" I got it, and then I played, and I stopped playing Brawl a week or so later, just forever, because at that point I got older, and I was like, "This game's art style is drab. I don't like it."
Yeah, I tried grinding solo because when you're a kid you just have like infinite time to do stupid stuff on games.
Yeah.
I put I have over, I think I have over 1,000 hours in Brawl, but like I was just trying to grind for that one Team Galactic disc, and I didn't even know the name of the song because you can't check the name of the song when you're in the Subspace Emissary. So I didn't know what I was looking for. I was just crossing my fingers, and one day Sylvia's randomly like, "Hey, have you heard of this?" Sends me it, and it's like, it was like a schism in my soul.
Yeah.
I assume that I sent you the Team Galactic from Platinum and Pearl.
No,
was that
it
for the
was
game?
no. I think you sent the Brawl version first, which is why I immediately noticed.
Oh, I see. Huh.
Nice.
So I'm
Still, and also I probably played Meta Knight second to most, but also as a kid I was still a nerd. I played Pokemon Trainer a ton. I thought that he was Ash. He is not.
No, he's not.
And here's the thing. I had a very particular way of playing where I didn't know how to change music probabilities for the longest time. So I would set the AI as Pokemon Trainer, and I would also be Pokemon Trainer, and I would just keep going to the WarioWare stage in hopes of getting Ashley's song, because for some reason I loved that song as a kid.
Yeah.
And
also pretty good, yeah.
And after I got it, I would just have 30-minute brawls with no time limit with this boy, and I would win every one of them because it was like a level 5 AI.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yes.
And then we get to Smash 4. I have a lot of interesting memories with Smash 4. Like I said, I have played with Zanza before, and I have seen firsthand just how bullshit Shulk's counter is.
I love it though. Like it's not super powerful, but it lasts so long, right?
Yeah, it lasts for
pretty
4
long.
years.
Like it lasts just long enough where like they get hit, and it's like one of those things where it's not. That doesn't necessarily make it competitive because like anyone who knew what to is like knowing what to expect, they would just wait longer. But like,
oh, I see he countered. I'm gonna no, that's not how that works.
Yeah, you gotta wait another
playing
another turn.
Playing Smash Brothers playing Smash Brothers casually has a whole different meta than playing competitively.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess that's. I don't want to cut off your story if you have more to say, Sylvia, but
Well, I do have a little bit more to say, at least.
Okay.
Interesting fact, I play a lot of Roy, Lucina, and Marth. They are my 3 favorite characters as of the moment, because they're the same character. I'm kidding.
Roy's a little different.
Yeah, and Zanza has gone to my house and taken the Wii U controller from me and made a level called Powa, which...
This!
Yes!
Wait, what was it? Which level is this? Are we talking about?
Okay, so he just takes the tablet, goes to the making a custom stage, and then with the stylus poorly writes out "This is the Monados" and puts a single platform below the words. And oh my god.
Aw.
And
Okay, that is a pretty good custom stage, but I think I might not have made it on your Wii U, but I know I made a perfect custom stage that I want to talk about in a little bit when you're done.
Okay, but here's the thing. Here's the reason why I bring it up. A friend of all of ours, Dream, he did a thing where he decided to be Mega Man and only use upbeat to annoy the hell out of me.
Yeah,
So I was like, "All right, I'll play your game, kiddo." So I brought him to Zanza's level, and the landscape on it was so utterly confusing and terrible. You could grab on like 2 ledges on the like.
Yeah, I specifically said
or
it so that
more.
almost all the ledges are non-grabbable except like a few random ones.
Exactly. And I beat him in the span of like 1.5 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know why that map isn't competitive.
That's a good question.
Silence yourself.
Yeah, no, but I think my favorite map that I've ever I remember I made it on one person's Wii U, and then I had to remake it for another person's because they wanted to play it so bad. But basically it's one platform, kind of like Final Destination, but you can't grab onto the ledges because they're lava, and then so is the under of the lava, and then you surround the one like the one long Final Destination platform with cannons all facing inwards.
Yep.
And so you can't escape. You either get sent to the bottom or you just keep getting slammed into the floor over and over again. And I think I called it "I'm really feeling it."
Mm-hmm. That sounds about right.
You really feel the floor.
Yeah.
I was very proud of that one.
I know that. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about, Sylvia? Because
I do have a small thing to mention.
Go
I have made a very shitposty game mode that I like to call Clobber That Kirby, where
I wonder what that involves.
You take Kirby, you make 7 DDDs, all level 9, and you bring them to the
Great Cave
the Great Cave Offensive, and you just cry.
Yeah. I guess.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm not gonna
Go for 5 minutes.
Yeah. I'm not gonna go for my full in-depth history of my Smash Brothers experience because I mean I don't know.
Take too long.
I don't want to take too long, but because I would die. But the main thing for me, I'll do like kind of like the Cliff Notes version of like what Smash Brothers is for me, and then we can quickly move on to some other like very quick Smash related things that I want to talk about before we move on to whatever our next discussion topic is. Where when it comes to me and Smash Brothers, the first exposure I had to Smash Brothers was I used to live in like I've lived in like 3 different houses in my life thus far. And when I was like a small child, I lived in, one house in an area that I won't disclose. And I had a friend, and he had a GameCube, and he was playing Melee. And the only reason that Melee caught my eye was because Pikachu was in it. And I like Pokemon. And so I wanted to play as Pikachu. This is like...
Yeah, game freak.
As a child, the only like video game I initially had exposure to was like Pokemon stuff, and then Smash Brothers came along. So I didn't even know who Mario was as a small child. And so I go to Smash Brothers, I see Pikachu, and I'm like, well, and then there's all these other guys too. And then
video games is more than Pikachu?
Yeah, exactly. What? That was my mindset. So then it was like, Dad, I gotta get a GameCube, and I gotta get Super Smash Brothers Melee. And eventually I did. And then Melee just sort of absorbed my life, and I learned all about this stuff. I watched, everyone, everyone around this time was all like, watching, the certain, Smash Brothers machinimas. Like there's, what's it called? Like the Revenge of Giga Bowser, the one that's set to Liberi Fatali from Final Fantasy VIII. That's like the classic Giga Bowser machinima thing. Then there's, all that stuff, Brawl taunts, everything as a child. And speaking of Brawl, yes. As a child that did not really, very similar to Zanza, who did not have access to the internet, I didn't know that Brawl was a thing until another friend of mine, when I was living in house number 3 now, which I'm still living in,
Whoa.
But at this point, another friend of mine, again, I'm still very young, he's talking about this whole thing with Meta Knight. He's talking about Meta Knight because we were like little kids, like running around pretending to be characters, right? And then he was Meta Knight. I'm like, well, who's Meta Knight? Because I didn't know who Meta Knight was. And he's like, here, I'll show you. And so he brought me over to our shitty old, however, Windows, whatever PC, like the really old one we had. And he brings me to the Brawl Dojo. And it just so happened to be the same day that Sonic was announced for the game. And
my God.
I just exploded. And I couldn't handle it for like until the game released. And like when Brawl got delayed too, which of course I didn't know at the time, but it was because of Sonic. I was like, oh my lord. And like,
wow, how dare they delay the game for the fastest thing alive?
Yeah, I know.
Game Freak.
Yeah, but Game Freak. Yeah, but basically it got to the point where like for whatever reason my parents like couldn't be at the house the day that Brawl came out. So I had to be at my grandmother's house for the weekend. But like I was not gonna, it was the same weekend that Brawl was coming out, and I was not gonna, like, wait the whole weekend, so I brought my Wii over to my grandma's, and on the way there, we picked up Brawl from our GameStop, and I just played Brawl the whole time at my grandmother's house, and we played through Subspace together, me and my grandma, and,
Your grandma sounds rad.
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah.
Okay, continuing on.
Yeah, continuing on.
Simply.
Yeah, so, I don't want to. The thing is, she's dead now. That's why I'm being all hesitant. Yeah, no,
sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Surprisingly emotional here at Game Library.
Yeah. So, Brawl became like this huge part of my childhood, and like constantly playing it. Brawl was like my favorite thing ever. Have so many hours on that game, all that jazz. And then Smash 4 is announced, and this time I'm in the loop. I have the internet. I know how to do things, and Smash 4's cycle of like hype and everything was just so crazy for me, just constantly looking up the updates, watching like every video that everybody posted on like, here's the Smash updates and all this stuff. And I decided for myself that this would be the Smash game that I'm going to try and learn how to play competitively, and how to try and learn how to play fighting games competitively. And all this stuff happened. I mean, that's when I started making YouTube videos. I mean, they're all shitty, but there's some of them are still on my channel. And then, it was all this hype cycle, and I remember making like this video. I was at like my cousin's beach house with my shitty laptop and Xbox Live microphone, and I made like a video like, here's the Super Smash Brothers ESRB leak, the leak that was the real leak that happened, and like doing a stupid video. It's still up on my channel. I watched it yesterday actually just because I was curious. And so
did you regret it?
Not really.
Okay.
But yeah, and I just want to speed through the rest of this little story here, but the main thing is that Smash 4 released 3DS version in America, and there was this thing Nintendo held when Smash 4 or Smash 3DS specifically launched, where when they launched it, they had like a tournament in like 12 select GameStops across America or something along those lines. Go in there, there's an official Nintendo tournament thing, right? Okay, why is this important? Well, besides the fact that I went to it, which is just sort of like, it was my first Smash tournament, and all this stuff, and like all this, and going down to Maryland. It's where I met a personal internet friend of mine who, if you watch any of my Twitch stuff, my friend Matthew, I met him at one of those tournaments, and he introduced me to like all of his internet friends, and that's basically how I met pretty much all of my friends that I know now. So that's another reason why Smash is super important to me. But then,
it is the catalyst. It's
the catalyst for pretty much most of my friends that I have now. But besides that, I mean, I still made Smash content. I mean, if a lot of it's still on my YouTube. Mewtwo, my Mewtwo came out.
Yes, my Mewtwo.
Yeah, my Mewtwo. Mewtwo came out. I was freaked out. Smash 4. I've gone to tournaments. I love that game to death. I consider it my favorite game. I just consider the whole Smash series my favorite game as a whole.
I get that.
Yeah, and I would not be the same person without it. And it's the same. Smash Ultimate's coming out, and it's going to be the most hype thing for me ever. And yeah, so
yeah,
really quick.
Yeah. Right before we move away from Smash, I want to say, on top of Smash, one game I've been really looking at is Slap City.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's because
it's the Smash Brothers killer.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's gonna go that far,
No.
but like apparently it's well, like the fans of it are growing really really fast. And it might see like it could be in like Evo or something in like a year.
Wow.
But
I didn't know
like
that.
like there are high hopes for it, and like the reason why it's very cool to me is the fact that I always used to talk about, well, what is your crack character for Smash Bros? Because if you could have any character that you would want to be in Smash Bros, but has zero chance of getting it, like it's not. No, not that far, but like
Bleed the Hedgehog.
yeah, Cold Steel,
Yeah,
where
Cold Steel.
yeah, but like just any character that has zero chance of getting smashed, but you really want them to be in, like name one. And mine was always EG, which is from this indie game of the same name made by Daniel Raymar. And the thing is, he is a part of the company Ludosity, and they're the people that make Slap City, and Slap City is like a crossover game between all the things that they've made. So I find there's a chance that my crack Smash Bros character that I've been wanting since like Brawl might actually be a thing in this other game.
And it's
my
I'm really
God.
happy that you brought that up, because before we left Smash, I was gonna actually segment into like for Smash Ultimate or just Smash in general, whether it's realistic or not. Like, what are some characters, newcomers, that you would want to see? Like, you can go with like a realistic and a non-realistic. You could go whatever. I was going to ask that, and for me personally, I'll just go because I'm talking right now. If we're talking about stuff that I think is realistic, that I really want, I want Bandana D really badly, because I want them to finish off the Kirby Quartet.
Yes.
Of
course,
I really like
of course.
that. And then if we're gonna talk about characters that I don't really expect to get in, but would be my favorite thing, there are 2 third-party characters that I want to mention. For one, Joker from Persona 5. Because, but like, more important, as much as I would love that, the character for me that's like 100% the one I want in, like, the most, and I think there's like a slight chance, maybe, but like, it's very slim. I really want Travis Touchdown from No More Heroes in Smash Brothers. So bad.
Awesome.
So bad. I mean, like, Travis Strikes Again's coming out on Switch. Suda51, the creator, he's like said multiple times that he wants Travis in Smash Brothers, which I know means nothing. But like,
like Nintendo's the one that makes.
I know that means nothing, but like every time he says it, it's like, come on, I want this boy in Smash, and again, it's not gonna happen, but I want it really badly.
Well, I mean, like, I think he could be an assist trophy. I'm just not sure he'd be a full character.
I could live with
like,
that.
Waluigi.
Like, I don't think it. Oh yeah, Waluigi's a given. We don't even need to talk about that. But like, as a character, we all want, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah,
Correct,
but like, they've had like Snake is from an M-rated game. They've had characters from M-rated games, so I don't think that's the issue.
Yeah, no, I think the issue
is just that. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say he's not as like known as other characters.
That's what I was gonna say. He's a cult classic, but like No More Heroes didn't sell very well.
At least not like
you know what I
comparatively to other things especially things that are in Smash.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's
And,
like I think Travis Touchdown has a chance of being an assist trophy,
Yeah.
but he would be really cool.
Yeah,
if he was.
I would really 100%. If he was to get in, I think I wouldn't need anybody else. I mean, at this point, honestly, I don't think I need anybody else anymore. The roster's already fucking amazing. But like, that's the one I want. So Sylvia, do you have a thing you want to talk about with?
I have one, yes, but something tells me people are going to consider me very petty for it.
Just go for it.
So, as much as I know that he's a Final Smash, I really want to Mask DDD as his own character.
As his own character?
Yeah, as an
Not
Echo
like
character or whatever.
Like a character.
Not a Final Smash, but as a playable character.
All right.
Because
what kind of
for a lot of reasons. Well, number one, obvious but still noteworthy, his hammer is very spatial. Like missiles, flamethrowers. Could be a modification of his down smash, perhaps.
Well, that is true.
I guess the reason that I brought it up is because one of the most important games to me, is
Kirby Superstar Ultra.
Kirby Superstar Ultra, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, same here.
I guess in a similar vein, Galactonite would be interesting. Question mark?
He would be cool.
Yeah, no,
or
I
maybe as
feel-
an assist trophy at least.
Yeah. I think they have like a pseudo
Or
Galactonite.
Marks.
They have like a pseudo Galactonite color in Smash Ultimate, I think, for Meta Knight. At least I think they've shown it. Like it's it's not like a full on character thing. And actually on that note,
like
yeah.
my one thing is I think that if they're gonna go that way, from what people can tell, like they're trying to do stuff with like Kirby lore. Like I know this is something that like
Yeah.
no one cares about, but like me and a select few other people.
Yeah, I get you.
But
Me
in
a
the
little
most,
bit.
but in like the most recent game,
Spoilers, by the way.
Galactonite like turned into Morphonite, and he's got like this cool butterfly design, and I think that's more likely to go in than the actual Galactonite, because I think they're trying to move on to
definitely
let's
understand
do
that.
this new thing and
Which
lead
is,
into like this other part.
Which
of
is
the-
super. Yeah, the super
lore.
cool thing about Morphonite and its design, is that was like a beta Meta Knight design.
Yeah, it was beta Meta Knight design. I actually
Oh.
have the what is it the
I have it too.
Kirby's Dream Collection
Yeah.
Special Edition. It came with like the booklet where it
Mhm.
has it, and I thought it was really cool because I when I saw Morphonite, I'm like that design looks a little familiar.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And then
Yeah.
it was cool.
And
Definitely.
yeah, on the last thing I want to talk about with Smash Brothers Ultimate stuff and just Smash Brothers stuff in general, because we've been talking about it for quite a bit.
Yeah, we
is,
have.
I just want to bring mention to like the abundance of leaks, and like obviously most of them are fake, but I just want to bring it up because there's a video that I kind of plan on maybe making in the future. Well, there's like two videos. There's one of how to make a Smash Brothers Ultimate character wish list thing, which is just like tearing into like the standard kind of like formula of how everybody makes Smash top 10 lists. Like the first thing that comes to mind is that you have to mention how only characters that go by Sakurai's things of like have to be in a video game or whatever. The only characters like that. And when you're saying that, there has to be a clip of Goku from Dragon Ball FighterZ. First he has to be doing his intro when he zooms in and does the thing when he zooms in after like being called in, and then it immediately cuts to a clip doing his Kamehameha super. That it's literally in every single Smash wishlist thing because they got to describe it's only characters from video games that are realistic, that Sakurai is always like this, and they always do the Goku flying in and then the Kamehameha.
Honestly, I really want Goku just to make people explode.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's another video that's like, how to make a Smash Brothers fake leak, which is like, I just want to talk about it really quickly, because there's like, as I was saying before, an overabundance with like King K. Rool and Dixie and everything. Everyone's saying Simon Belmont's gonna get in, because that one guy that leaked Smash Ultimate said that Simon Belmont's in it. And then
Simon Belmont.
there's all this stuff, and obviously I don't like believe pretty much any of these leaks for the most part. I really don't. But I think it's super interesting to like think about as a culture, because like a Smash Brothers internet culture, especially when you had stuff like with Smash 4 with the ESRB leak, which was an actually real leak that like people were debating for like however long it took before they actually got video proof of it. But like there's this whole leak culture, especially, I mean, with all games, but especially with Smash Brothers, that's like super weird. And I just find it very interesting. And all this stuff with like Echo Fighters, because like everyone's like, oh, Shadow's gonna be an Echo Fighter because his trophy isn't shown and Knuckles is there and he makes sense for an Echo Fighter for Sonic, and all this thing with Dark Samus, same thing, and then Chrom over Ike because Ike's Chrom color has been removed and we haven't seen Robin's final smash, and I think it's all super interesting to speculate about. And as we end our Smash Ultimate discussion, at least for now, until some other big news happens and a podcast happens around the same time, I think the leak culture, especially with all of these things, like all these characters there's gonna be a character announced at EVO, it's gonna be Springman, or it's gonna be Heihachi from Tekken, and all this stuff, and EVO is gonna be next week as of this recording. Sorry for dating it, but basically, you just have all this stuff, and I think it's a very interesting kind of thing, just to see like what people come up with, what people believe, and how people can try and make these leaks. And I think it's very interesting. So I wanted to bring that up. I was planning on talking about that and then doing which characters that we want to talk about, but we had a perfect segue and I didn't want to ruin it. So yeah. And with that, actually talking about EVO and fighting games in general, that can lead us into the next topic, which we don't need to go super in depth about. But speaking of Goku, actually as well, for Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is a game that, I mean, as someone who loves fighting games and Dragon Ball, is like a dream come true for me, and I love Dragon Ball FighterZ. I say that, and then very recently they have. I mean, people have known about it for a while because of the data mines, but very recently they have released trailers for base form Goku and base form Vegeta, in Dragon Ball FighterZ, and I just wanted to see if anyone here had opinions on that.
Okay, but so why?
That's a very good question that I don't know the thing is, yeah.
Because you're just going down. I feel like you kind of already have that with the Super Saiyan 1 versions, right?
The main thing is that base Goku is he's early Dragon Ball Z era Goku, where he uses his main thing is Kaioken and his level 3 is a Spirit Bomb, and it's non-super pre all that Goku, which is it's cool, and I like, and he flies in on the flying Nimbus. And then base Vegeta seems to be Saiyan Saga Vegeta. When he's when he's evil.
When he's got the armor.
Yeah, when he's evil and stuff. And And I think that's a very interesting angle to go about it, and I think that that's super neat. But at the same time, I mean, I feel like I'm definitely not alone in the boat of I would have preferred different characters for DLC, but I'll accept it.
Where's Cooler?
He's apparently supposed to be in the next one with Park Ranger Android 17. So
yeah.
So it's very interesting.
Where's El Grande Padre?
Where's Mr. Satan? That's the
okay, actually though, if they have Yamcha as a playable character, they need Mr. Satan as a playable character.
Where's
Think
Mr.
about
Satan? But yeah,
listen, I want everybody to know that it's a common meme with me that I haven't had a childhood, so I don't know if these Mr. Satan things are satirical or not.
No, there's a character named Mr. Satan in Dragon Ball, and he's the worst but the best because of it.
Okay. Isn't it like he's the strongest human
He's the strongest man alive, but he's really not.
But it doesn't matter because he's fighting eldritch horrors.
Well, there's that, and he
they could tank planets,
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with all the other human characters in Dragon Ball, like Krillin, because it's not like Krillin, if you're comparing him to other things, it's not like Krillin's weak, but he's going up against literal planet busters, and that's why Krillin sucks in the scope of Dragon Ball. Same with Yamcha. It's not like they're that horrible, it's just that they're fighting literal aliens with power beyond imagination, and
where's okay, one thing. Do you think they're gonna make a Jiren character for?
I'm surprised they haven't yet, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed like a pretty big part of Super, and they have characters from Super, right?
Yeah, they have. They have plenty of characters from Super. I mean, Zamasu was part of the most recent DLC patch. So,
do they have any characters from the Tournament of Power, or is that something that they didn't work on? Because obviously, game development takes a lot of time, and they might not have wanted to release anything until.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, they don't. The thing is, I don't think they have anybody from Tournament of Power. But the thing is that the main thing is that at this point, according to data mines, there's this base Goku, base Vegeta character update. Then there's going to be Cooler and Park Ranger 17 most likely, and then that's all that we know thus far. And the game has done super successful, so I imagine they'll release more. And I have a feeling Jiren would be part of that, but we don't know. And I mean, alongside of base Goku and base Vegeta, they're going to be having a balance patch as well. Which I mean, I think the balance patch is affecting everybody besides Super Saiyan Goku, Super Saiyan Vegeta, Goku Black, and Adult Gohan. Everyone else is getting changed in some way or another. And
it's pretty big.
Yeah,
even I have no other options.
Yeah, even I have no other options, and we're gonna see how hard they hit Cell. We're gonna see how hard they just destroy him.
Yeah, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of how much.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
I assume he's fairly powerful.
Yeah, Cell is easily the best. So,
okay.
So yeah, I mean, we don't need to talk about Dragon Ball FighterZ for super duper long, especially since we don't all. It's not as a. At least, I mean, we could go. I mean, I could go on
haven't
about.
even watched DBZ.
Yeah,
so.
I could go into my Dragon Ball history, but outside, it's not something that everybody here is super as familiar with as Smash Brothers. So I just wanted to bring it up because it's recent gaming news, so might as well talk about it. Plus, it's something that I'm interested in, so
And now I know about Mr. Satan.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So, do we wanna? We have some more topics, but we could also move on to the game now.
I'm thinking.
Well, how about we could talk a little bit more, and we've almost been going for an hour, so we could talk a little bit about some other topics, and then we can spend the majority of the second hour of this going over the other thing. But
the game. Well, that sounds good. All right. Well, the next topic is I guess it's Sylvia's Revenge because it's about advanced Gungeons and Dragons, which is the new
Enter
free,
the Gungeon expansion.
yeah, free. They did this a while ago with the supply drop update, but it was
Yes.
like that update was really small.
It was child's play compared to this.
You see, this
Yeah.
is where Austin doesn't talk for approximately 20 minutes because I know literally nothing about Enter the Gungeon.
No.
Oh, don't worry,
Well,
you will soon. One of these days we're gonna suggest this.
Yeah,
game.
I
Okay.
plan on suggesting it someday. TM.
Someday trademark. Maybe today.
Yeah, but feel free to talk about it as much as you want. I'm just joking around, but you know.
Yeah.
The short and simple of it is that I played a lot of Enter the Gungeon before the Advanced Gungeons and Dragons update, and I played it a lot despite not liking it too much, weirdly enough. And Advanced Gungeons and Dragons has changed my view on the game by I would consider it a significant margin. It just feels a lot more complete, a lot more fun, a lot more.
I agree with you there. I kind of hated the game when it was first out because it had all of the issues that I hate about roguelikes, and it kind of missed on all the points that I like about them. But this update kind of tries to circumvent them. Like, my biggest problem with Enter the Gungeon was that the drop rates on just any kind of consumable is so
For me, it
low.
was chest's existence.
Yeah, like, so basically the game would just, like, choke you out. Like, I had situations in which you have, like, the infinite ammo starter gun that's really shitty, and you're not supposed to use it for really anything but emergencies, but, like, you had to use it because ammo
was so sparse, or you didn't get lucky enough with good guns.
Like, I'd get an ammo drop once every 2 games. So there would be situations in which I go all the way and beat the first 5 levels with just the shitty rinky-dinky starter pistol that takes forever and it sucks all the fun out of it. And then I go and play the last level and I have this arsenal of guns and I run out of ammo before I finish that one level because there's no drops. And it was the most frustrating thing, and I just hated it. Or in there's like situations where like the way I thought of the old meta was keys.
Yeah, keys were everything, really.
Yeah, they were so important. Like
they were the lifeblood of every run, pretty much.
Yeah, you had to sacrifice everything for them, and it was so valuable that like you just couldn't pick up brown chests, you know?
Yeah, items that gave keys were just the best, period.
Yeah, like what is it? The A key 47 that gives you functionally infinite keys.
Yeah,
like that. There's a reason why it's in the highest item tier, because like in Enter the Gungeon, you get items from chests and 2 spawn a floor, and it tells you what rarity the item is going to be before you open it. So brown chests are the lowest; they're D rank, and then there's blue chests for C rank, green chests for B rank, red chests for A rank, and then these black chests
edgy
for
chests.
S rank. But the thing is, the A and S tier chests would spawn like even less than ammo. They were super rare.
They were incredibly rare. Yes,
and
there were also even rarer rainbow and glitch chests, which I got one of the entirety of the
hundreds of hours
plus
hours. But those are fine because those are just like
those are
extra bonuses. But like the thing is, meanwhile, these brown chests that would be almost half the chests of every run, they're half your items. Their items are so bad, and they consume just like every other chest consumes a key.
Keys out of you.
And you're not going to get enough keys to open everything. You're not even going to get close to enough keys to open every single chest in the game. So you just had to not get the brown chests. You just had to ignore them because they were not worth the items that they gave you were not worth the simple singular key item
game.
But what this meant was that you basically almost every run you had no items. You were playing with the base, which are for a roguelike
not good.
You're not. Yeah, because like compare Enter the Gungeon to other games, like
this week's game, for instance,
whoa,
which we'll get to,
and like The Binding of Isaac. It's all about creating interesting runs. Like each run is supposed to be different and unique. But in old Gungeon, they weren't, because you'd almost never get items, and when you did, they would always be like C rank, and they wouldn't. So every run would end up just feeling the same. And any kind of fuck up, because hearts were also such a rare drop. If I found that if I got hit at all during the first floor, I would
just restart.
like there's not even any hope. And the first floor could take like 5 to 7 minutes. So it was the most tedious, annoying thing in the world, where you just get hit once and then you'd restart and you'd be frustrated, which would make you more likely to get hit, and then it would just be a downward spiral, and you'd spend like 2 hours never making any progress. So frustrated at the game for like the tiniest mistakes, because it's so punishing. Like that tiny mistake, you might not recover from it for forever. But now
it's so much better.
Yeah, they've upped the drop rates. They stopped key forcing. There was this weird mechanic where if you didn't pick up a key in the wild, a key would spawn in the shops, and it was this really weird mechanic that you kind of had to walk around, just in order to get enough keys to open the items you want.
For a while.
Yeah. And so they fixed that. They just made it so that the early floors always spawn it. They upped good chest spawning in the early game specifically. I think they might have even balanced it down in the late game. So it's still roughly the same difficulty, but you're more likely to have an interesting run.
And have fun subsequently.
Like the game, I'd argue that because they've added a lot more difficult enemies and everything, so it's not like the game got easier. It's not like it was a problem with the difficulty.
It just got more fun.
Yeah, the type of the difficulty was bad, because you would just get choked out and have no fun and play the same runs over and over. And get super frustrated when you just fuck up a little bit.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I would like to finish Enter the Gungeon conversation up soon.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we've been talking about it for a while, and we got to move on to the game.
Yeah, and
you want to move on to that?
Yeah, actually, since you guys actually kind of brought it up in the middle of your discussion there, but I was gonna, since we were talking about a roguelike, I was just gonna be like, and speaking of, but
Whoa.
If you couldn't tell by wherever this goes up, the title of this podcast, I guess, Zanza, I mean, I guess you can say what it was, because you're the one who suggested it.
Into the Breach.
Into the Breach, baby.
Yeah, Into the Breach. It was released in February of this year, right?
Yes.
February 2018?
I believe.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it was made by the same guys who made FTL.
Which is, by the way, one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, it's another roguelike. But this game is a roguelike, but it's a lot different. It's like, you know how in Smash Bros. There was that like assist trophy where like those red tanks and the red guys popped out?
Yeah, Advance Wars.
Advance Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and how like Advance Wars was like that grid kind of like turn-based combat thing. Into the Breach is a lot like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a roguelike. And so, first of all, what are you guys' opinions of Into the Breach?
All right. Do you
Into the Breach is okay.
Yeah, you can go.
For me, but it's not nearly as good, as nostalgic to me as FTL Faster Than Light, which I may recommend for a game at some point, or for an episode at some point.
Well, what would you rate it on a out of 10 scale, or out of 100, or out of 25? I don't know.
Into the Breach?
Yeah.
6 or 7.
All right.
Probably 7.
Yeah. Do you have
what
anything?
About you, Patronix?
Well, before we get into me, I mean, I guess I can just say my initial things, and then we'll get more in depth with it. But
yeah,
as someone who, first off, has not played many, if any. I don't remember any roguelikes in the past. There's a good chance this is my first roguelike that I've actually put some time into actually trying out and playing for more than 2 minutes.
And I'd also argue that this isn't like a traditional kind of roguelike. It's definitely a more unique experience, but it's go on.
I can say that the genre itself of like roguelikes, or at least like what this is, it's not like my favorite thing ever. I'm not sure how I feel about the genre, which is probably part of the reason why I didn't play one for so long, because I just had a feeling it would not be my thing. On the other hand, I really have enjoyed how much I have played Into the Breach. It's while the genre itself is not like my absolute favorite thing in the world and all that, from what I've played of this, I've enjoyed it. I'll say that I did not, because we kind of had like a weird scheduling where I've been kind of busy this week, so I didn't get to play, because Into the Breach has this whole structure, which I guess we'll get more into later, but has this whole structure where there's multiple islands, and after you complete 2 islands, you can go to the final mission and beat the game and get all that. But the whole point is to try and get as big of a score as possible. That's like part of it, and by doing all these missions. And I'll say right now, I never did I haven't done the final mission yet, which, I mean, I wanted to, but just based on my schedule this week, I was a bit busy. But I played enough to get the general gist of what the game was, and I enjoyed it. It's very interesting. Like Zanza summed it up best. It feels similar to like a Advance Wars, almost like Fire Emblem kind of a deal, but like very different. It purely in the sense of like the top-down grid-based combat, but it's very different in pretty much most ways. In the other ways. With like the specific mechanics and stuff, but I definitely enjoyed it. I can definitely see the appeal of it and why people get really invested in these kind of things. Because like from the little that I played, I was really enjoying it, and I was just kind of messing around, but I was having a good time and getting really into it.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that you were playing it for really long periods of time.
Yeah. So I mean, if we're doing the whole out of 10 thing immediately, I'm not sure I'd be 100% confident in my rating because again, I haven't played through the entire thing yet. But from what I've played thus far, I definitely give it like at least a 7, probably like a 7.5 or like a 7.5. And I'm not trying to say that like bad, because like if you're asking me, like a 7.5 is pretty darn good, especially for a game genre that I'm not the biggest fan of. But I want to experience it a bit. I want to play a bit more of it before I give like a final rating. But as of my experience thus far, I've enjoyed it, and I'd definitely say like a 7.5-ish is where I'd probably give it. Now, Zanza, you can go into your stuff.
All right. Well, this might surprise you. I'd probably, if I had to rate it on a out of 10 scale, I'd give it a 4.
Whoa.
Because, like, I mean, I tend to, like, rate it as 5 is like a neutral experience. So, like,
I see.
So, like, you know, a lot of times,
is it a bit less?
Especially when it comes to video games, people like the out of 10 rating is kind of different. But for me, yeah. So, like, I thought it was kind of meh.
I understand.
Which I guess is kind of bad considering I suggested the game, but I hadn't played it yet.
Yeah.
My like, I don't know, cause like my main problem, the thing that really irked me about the game is there are times in which, like at the start of every mission, like you see where enemies are going to spawn, but you don't know which enemies will spawn, and you have a certain area where you can place your guys. Yes, I tried to develop a formula to make it like have the most defensive, best starting position, but there were still times in which the random enemies that spawn will have a different set of movement, and then they'll just move in ways where you can't actually win. Like
in which you have to make some sacrifice.
Yeah, and it's like different from like, oh, in the middle of the combat you weren't looking at these guys, and then they moved in a position where you left yourself open the previous phase because you thought this would be a more valuable way to spend your turn, but you ended up leaving yourself vulnerable and behind or something. No, I mean at the very start, it sets you in a position where you have to take damage.
Yeah, where it's just you have to take damage.
Yeah, and that was probably the worst part of the game for me because there's it just kind of like felt like it tried to fly in the face of the whole like strategy thing because the game's strategy is really fun.
Yeah,
but
it's interesting.
Yeah, like it's really cool when you set up these really intricate situations where like you can knock enemies into certain positions and into other enemies to do a ton of damage and save a ton of buildings in a way that you couldn't do without this very specific combination of your tools and stuff. And that was always really fun and really satisfying. But then sometimes the game would just like tell you no with RNG that you couldn't actually predict or anything, and it felt really frustrating, especially Yeah.
As much as I gave a TLDR of my thoughts, I would like to continue.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I imagine we're just gonna keep continuing to
and
talk about it.
Yeah,
actually,
I also have plenty of questions.
yeah,
regarding
and before we actually get into these like more extended thoughts, I think it'd be important, especially because this is our first session and people couldn't have known we were doing this beforehand. I feel like it's very important to describe like what the game is exactly. So
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I guess I'll do it because I'll go off my
Alright.
understanding. So basically what the game is, as we said before, it's like a top-down kind of strategy game, and the whole deal is that the whole like premise of the game is that it's like a timeline deep in the future when Earth is nothing more but a couple islands that, because of these like bug invaders called the Vec. That's what it is, the Vec, right?
Yeah, the Vec.
Vec. And basically
Not to be confused with the they heck.
yeah, okay. So the Vec have invaded basically everywhere, and they are constantly like just destroying things, being bad bug boys. And so it's your job as whichever time traveler you have to try and exterminate these guys while performing different missions on different islands. And basically the whole premise is you're balancing there's like an overall power grid where basically you have buildings that you can protect, and each time that a building gets destroyed, not only do the people inside of it die, but
which makes you feel bad.
But you also lose power, and if you go down to 0 power, you have to abandon that timeline. What does that mean? Well, it's a roguelike, so the whole deal is that when either you lose or you choose to abandon your timeline, basically you can choose one of your units to take with you to a different timeline. Yeah, one of your you can technically take any. Yeah, you can take one of your pilots to a different timeline to try and start over. And they don't take their mech. The important distinction, I think Sylvia was about to mention, they do not take their mech with them. They take themselves. Which is very important for reasons we'll probably discuss later, because that's the one thing that bothered me the most about the game. Where basically it's this whole thing of looping back in time and trying to get this perfect cycle with your different pilots and stuff, and each time traveler pilot, like the main pilots that you can like find in different time pods throughout the game, they have different abilities. So like one might make you gain experience faster, one might give you different resets because like you can reset a turn because that's all this time travel stuff, one might give you 2 resets, one might have an ability that lets it so their mech can fly, one might have more movement, one might take reduced damage. All of them have these different abilities, and then you have your generic NPCs, and you have like 3 mechs for each battle, and it's like a battle of, you know, trying to complete these bonus missions, which will give you like reputation, which you can spend on upgrades. But at the same time, you have to make sacrifices because oftentimes, because of RNG or you sucking, which you know, it's up to interpretation, I suppose. Basically, you have to make sacrifices, and do you lose power but you gain like stars, which you can spend on upgrades, or do you do the reverse, or do you just try and get through the mission because everything's gone to shit? And an important distinction is that once a pilot has died, they are dead. Unless you have a specific item, which came in handy for me in one very particular situation.
If they end the mission with 0 HP, their mech, then the pilot is dead, and you lose all the bonuses the pilot has forever, and you can't travel back in time with them
exactly. And I mean,
you don't officially lose the mech.
Yeah, and
you don't lose the mech.
Yeah. And it feels kind of sad, partially because you can name your characters, and I always name them really stupid things. Like
but then you get attached.
Then you get attached, which is the point, which is the entire point, and why they let you name the things. Yeah, that's the whole gist of the game. Basically, there's 4 islands, and then there's like the final mission. And each island has different terrain. There's like a grass one, a desert one, an ice one, the final one, which is like lava, and then there's the 4th island, which I haven't actually seen yet, so I don't know what like the 4th island is. But
it's
the 4th island is like this industrial wasteland where it's got conveyor belts, it's got teleporters, and it's got
lots
lakes
of acid.
Yeah, lakes of acid.
Yeah, so as like the whole deal is to try and get as far as you can. If you're failing, go abandon that timeline, bring your pilot that you want back, and try it again. Keep going through these runs until you get your best run. Even when you get your best run, go back and do it again, because there's more timelines that need saving, and you know that's the whole premise of the game. And I've been talking a lot, so if one of you guys want to go deeper into your gripes or likes about the game, then
I can say, so I really liked how the combat was. It was more than just deal damage in the most efficient way and blah. It was
very much about positioning.
Yes, it was all about positioning.
Entirely about positioning.
Yeah.
entirely.
I believe we are starting to accelerate on that position. But like the positioning is super important, and almost all of the different abilities in the game can move enemies around. And so
or move the way they attack.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah. So like you could, and if they knock into something, they deal bonus damage to themselves and the thing they hit. And so this adds another layer where it's, if you can't kill an enemy, that's fine as long as you can spread it out so that they don't hit the buildings.
Or don't screw around with your objectives for the mission.
Yeah. Or sometimes another thing is enemies have different spawn points, and at the start of every turn, enemies spawn at all of them, unless something is over top of it, in which whatever is on top takes 1 damage, and then nothing from that point spawns that turn. And so there's these really cool times in which you can knock an enemy, like a ranged enemy, away from hitting a building and into an area where their attack doesn't matter, and they're blocking off a spot, and you deal bonus damage to them like that. Or you can like send in a mech with tons of HP to block something. Or my favorite was, you know how there's that like boulder throwing mech?
Yes, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
You can if there's no situation where you really need to deal damage to a specific enemy or knock something away with it, you can use it to cover those pits and minimize how much you have to deal with in the future. And it just felt, I just liked how it was all based around movement. And then sometimes it works against you, because there was that like, let's say you can't go right behind an enemy that's like facing forwards to destroy a building, because if you hit it, it will be pushed into the building and deal damage to it.
Yeah, and that's that. Speaking on that, that's one of the things that I really want to quickly like talk about with like one of my gripes about the game. Which, like, the more I think about it, it's probably, I'm saying, I don't want to be like saying this game is overly negative, because I enjoyed it. I've enjoyed what I've played of it thus far. But
say whatever's on your mind.
Yeah,
you know?
But the main thing for me is that you'd have these scenarios where, like, depending on the mechs that you have, because like you have this whole thing where you can get different like squads, right? Where like you can use your coins you get from achieving certain things and buy squads. I've played with 2 squads thus far. There's like the default starting one, and then there's the Blitzkrieg. And the Blitzkrieg is the one that I've enjoyed. That out of the 2, I enjoyed it far more, and I've gotten the most progress with. And so the Blitzkrieg, like just quickly, like as an example of what a squad may look like, the main robot, like the main melee robot, is this robot that has electric whips, which its whole gimmick is that if there are units and things standing next to
I think I know what you're going to talk about.
Yeah, and like a chain.
Yeah, if there are units in a chain, they can chain through them. Notice how I say units. Notice how I say units and not enemies. And so there's that. Okay, that's neat. Also, with that squad is a little hookshot like mech, which its main function is that it can't deal damage like directly. It has a little hookshot which can pull things into it, or pull units towards you, or pull. Or
it can grab onto a mountain and drag you.
And then
and on top of that, it's got like a layer of armor on it, so it takes 1 less damage from non-elemental things.
Then there's the last one of that squad is like a boulder throwing one, which we were talking about before, which its whole gimmick is that it can throw boulders in a straight line into anything besides an adjacent space, which can be really useful in pushing things and doing all this. So various things that I'm sure you may be able to see with this whole thing that could go wrong. So basically, there will be like scenarios where you'll have like robots in an entire chain that are like attacking 30 buildings, and enemies can like hold you in place with this like goop thing that like makes it so you can't
shoot
move.
Their webs, and then you can't move unless you move the enemy at them.
Move the enemy, or kill them, or move, or depending on like what you have. If you have like the hook robot, you can pull your guy out of that radius. But depending on what goes on, you could be put in certain situations where like, okay, if you let this happen, you have to rely on chance for like buildings not being destroyed. Where if you just try and free your robots. But like, okay, you have your rock throwing robot that can kill someone, but it pushes them into a building, which destroys it and makes you lose power. Okay, but if you throw it in this different way, then that avoids that. However, that means that robot's in a line which your electric robot now will kill with 1 hit. because it's in a line with a bunch of
so
units. Because it deals so much damage and it's in line with the unit, and you can get a perfect kill, but because you needed to put your unit somewhere to block something from being attacked and to set this up, they're gonna die, and you don't want them to die if possible. So
the thing with the lightning mech
now you
is
see
for
them.
me.
Sorry. Oh no, it's fine.
For me, it's just necessary to get a power core right off the bat, or have a pilot with 1 extra mech power.
Oh, because
if you don't, yeah, because if you don't, you're just kind of screwed, honestly.
Yeah, and the main thing with stuff like that is that you could chalk it up to like, hey, you suck, and I'm like, I mean, I don't disagree.
I do, yes.
But at the same time, I a lot of the time, and I could be wrong, I could just not be seeing the optimal way of solving it. Like Zanza was kind of talking about earlier, it just seems impossible sometimes to like do things without destroying a unit or like losing all your power or completely doing your objective. And I get that's part of it is to make sacrifices. But at the same time, there's these really frustrating things that it's just frustrating sometimes. And again, I feel like that's part of the experience. I get it. I get the whole thing is, you got to be smart or you got to make sacrifices or both. Or sometimes neither. And and I get that's part of the experience, and I accepted that as kind of part of the roguelike genre, as someone who hasn't played them before. But I'm not sure I really like that.
I'd say that's more specific to this game.
But even, I'm not sure I really like that that much.
I mean, I'm going to sound kind of weird. I actually really like that part. Like, I don't like it when it's like, oh, you're just going to lose this thing and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
But I really liked when it's. I think my favorite parts of the game was it was a situation where I was on the final level of the game, and I had to either choose between risking it to like the 15% chance that a building doesn't take damage, or and completely lose this run that I had been really excited to do. At the very last second, or I had to sacrifice one of my favorite guys to block a shot right in front of it. And it was really emotional, surprisingly, but I loved it because it was something that could only happen if there's like this, there's this trade-off
going
on.
And this sort of companionship.
Or sometimes you're reckless and you're like, oh yeah, I can protect this building if I just put my guy in front of it and I can multitask. But then that ends up costing you because the guy then gets surrounded in a situation where if they just hadn't taken that last bit of damage the previous turn, they would have lived. And so now it's like, oh, you gotta either let him die or let a building, I felt like that was interesting because it's more of you have to make tough decisions, and I felt like for a game that tries really hard to be gritty, like every time a building dies, it tells you these many casualties died, or whenever you lose a run, it's like the entire timeline is gone and the Earth, is blanketed by these bugs. I felt it was at its best when you actually had to like make really tough decisions.
Yeah, no.
And it kind of crafted like a personal narrative where it's like, who are your pilots specifically? What kind of decision would they make on this scenario?
Yeah, and
I just kind of like that.
Yeah, and I don't want to, because I know with what I said earlier, it might give the wrong impression. Where like I like those moments too when it feels like that. I just felt like there were various occasions where it just felt like, well, like if this enemy had just, like, not done that, or if this robot that I'm trying to protect had just not walked one step to the left, then, I don't know, and I got that's the whole thing, and it's frustrating, and, like, I say that, like, I'm not sure I like that, and I feel, and when it's those sacrifice tense moments, where you can, like, risk it, or do something like that, I feel like, those moments are good, but it just, and I don't think it's necessarily a fault of, like, the system mechanics itself. I think it's more so a fault of the whole, how reliant games like this are on RNG. And I feel like that's part of it. I get it. And I understand that's like part of the whole genre. And it's this whole thing. And there were moments like with what Zanza was saying earlier, where it could be super tense and super fun to try and either finagle a way to solve these scenarios somehow without any damage. And when you do, you feel great. Or you make a sacrifice, or you bank on that 15% and it works. Moments like that are when the game, I'd say, is at its peak of like you feel smart, or you made a risk and it paid off. That works. But there was just occasional moments for me And again, I don't think it's necessarily like the game's mechanics. It's just the RNG, which I mean, I guess part of it is the game's mechanics. I guess that would be the game's mechanics. Yeah. But it sometimes it felt frustrating, and as someone who already kind of knew that they're not the biggest fans of this genre, it just sort of reaffirmed why I don't play games like this that often. I still liked it. And I mean, the more I think about it, I was saying like 7 or 7.5 with the rating. I think I'm going to say like 7. Bump down that 0.5. And not, because I feel like we're being like super overly negative, which I do not want to give the impression, because I enjoyed it. I really did.
Oh yeah.
I've enjoyed what I've played of it thus far. It's just there are certain things that I don't like about it that I either like I'm just chalking up to the genre, or are just kind of legitimate kind of frustrations that just feel like, well, there's nothing I really could have done about that, or I'm just stupid and whatever. And
all right. Sylvia?
I'm sorry, but I want to mention 2 things, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
One is a bit of a conversation piece, though. So one of them is, one of my favorite parts about the game is how the some of the pilots are robots, and they aren't combat based, not 100%. They are one archetype of what their AI does combined with a soldier. Ghana, one of my personal favorites, which I think I'll get to, is a construction robot and a soldier. Prospero is another one of my favorites, is a gardener and a soldier.
That's the one I named Seto Kaiba, by the way.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I may mention the conversation piece. One of the islands is Pinnacle Robotics, which is a robot thing. They make a ton of robots.
That's the ice level.
Yeah.
Personally, that was my least favorite out of all of them.
I can understand that, but I want to say, it seems like Pinnacle are villains. It seems like Zenith, who is the CEO of Pinnacle Robotics, is at some level a villain. Am I the only one who feels like that? Because her robots seem to malfunction constantly.
Well,
almost every one of the Pinnacle Robotics side objectives has to do with something that Zenith screwed up, or something that the robots screwed up, or the robots have gone rogue for the millionth time in a row. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I always attributed...
I hated those parts just because the robots... You were saying this earlier, Patronix, but the robots are super RNG based.
Super RNG and just do like the worst things.
Yes, that too.
Like, I think I only found one time in which they did something smart, in which they went into like this corner that was like a chokehold where the enemies couldn't get them unless they like guaranteed their own destruction. But that was like one time out of you play the missions over and over and over again, so like 50 times, and we only played this game for a week.
I have played it for more, to be fair, but still.
I have not.
True. But yeah, you were saying, Patronix?
Yeah, I was just saying that when it came to like the whole villain thing, I didn't really get that vibe. I just got the vibe that like either everything's going to shit because of the Vex stuff and like they're losing control of their facilities, and I just kind of took it that way, because I mean the entire world's going to shit in that world. So I didn't take it as like a villain. I just took it as their machines suck because all their factories are going down.
And another thing is that they might have wanted it to appear that way, like the developers. So it's like, this is how some people see them when they just want to be good boys. But that one might be a bit stretch.
Yeah, and
maybe.
Yeah, and I mean, like, when it comes to like the whole atmosphere of the game, I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie and say like I'm super enriched in the lore, because like I'm like it works. It does its function. It does what it needs to do, and I am. That's all it's there. It sets what's going on. That's all I need it for, because I'm not like the most like thrilled on the setting necessarily, but like, it's cool enough. It's like a cool concept. I like it as a function, and I like it. And some of the pilots have some neat personalities. And other ones, you just name Mega Man over and over again because they're robots.
Yeah, because you can't deal with loss.
Yeah.
You can't deal with loss, Patronix.
Yeah, no. Because, like, you can go and you have your unit of Abraham Lincoln, you name someone Abraham Lincoln with, whatever Abraham Lincoln's doing, and then who else do you have on your team? You have Hurricane Tortilla, and you have Mega Man. And then you gotta abandon your timeline, and my excuse is, I put Mega Man's AI on a fucking USB drive and took it with me in time. Look, it's the same guy.
Cross your fingers.
Yeah, cross your fingers, and then he dies in a mission anyway. I'm like, well, it's okay, that's how it goes. But
we can salvage this.
It's all good. But yeah.
It's okay.
A similar story I had to that was I love how you can nickname them all of the characters really stupid things, because I nicknamed one of my pilots Booyah Bitches because he had the special ability where he could deploy. You know how like normally you have a region where you can place them to start? He could place them anywhere. And he could place them anywhere, and wherever he lands, he deals like 1 damage to everything around him. Oh. So it's like Booyah Bitches as he arrives in. But the thing is, the automated message would always say stuff about you. And so, first of all, like whenever he talks in this like little voice box thing, it's just booyah. But it was way better whenever he kills someone, they say, "Oh, congratulations, pilot bitches, for killing that nasty bug."
Yeah, I mean, I had a very similar scenario where I named one of my pilots Bonzi Buddy, and it was just like, congratulations, pilot buddy. Or, Bonzi is talking over here.
I see.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of
that kind of stuff is kind of make your own fun kind of things. I'm not sure we can really credit that to the game.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like that's part of like the whole like what they're intending is for you to just make your characters and be stupid with them.
Another
I would agree with that, but like I don't know, I felt like you end up going through so many characters so fast that by the end I didn't even bother nicknaming them anymore, because it took too much time, and you lose the game so often that it's just not worth it.
Yeah, no, it just takes time. I agree. I agree with that. Where there'd be points where I just forget to nickname stuff, but I just feel like stuff like that in general, it's like made to get you attached to it and to do stupid stuff. So like when they die, it's like no, but like there's like there's an extent that it works.
Yeah. One thing is, apparently you guys didn't feel it, but I felt that the extra mechs were kind of garbage, and I didn't really find them very interesting. Like I found that they were like weird concepts that
define
weren't done
extra
very well.
mechs.
Yeah. Do you mean like
the other squads after the first one? Because I got the Blitzkrieg ones, and then I got the volatile ones.
Mm-hmm.
And for both
volatile are terrible.
With the exception of the like the boulder mech from the Blitzkrieg, I found that almost none of them matched up to like the original ones, because the original ones basically fill all of the different roles you need to play as defensively as possible. Well, once you get to the other ones, the lightning whip guy will more often than not be killing your own guys, and killing your own guys is such a monstrous downside that I felt it was just never worth using. Like I used him 2 times, and both times he ended up killing really good units, and I just felt like it wasn't worth it at that point. The fact that it was such a consistent track record where I'd be in a situation where I can either take tons of damage or sacrifice my own dudes, but if I had just used the punch mech, I could have done the same thing without such a sacrifice. And then like there was in the volatile ones, there's this one where it has really low health, and it can shoot a vial. And all it does is apply acid, but all of your teammates heal whenever they kill someone. And it's like, oh, this is cool, because it's like you're essentially getting a passive effect, because the acid doesn't mean much. All it does is double the damage that they take.
Late game, it means a lot, but
late game it can mean some. It can mean quite a few things. But what always ended up happening was that even with all this healing thing, just simply by not having another unit that fulfills like a core role, it meant that I was much more likely to lose, because like in the game you really have to think about it as you have 3 actions that you can take, and you need to optimize those actions to deal as much damage and keep as many buildings safe. So like the best situations where you could push enemies in ways where they would block other enemies or kill other enemies, and so you could get essentially multiple units taken care of for the turn with one action. But and so I found that all of the other mechs either fell into the category of they try to do one of those roles, but they do it
Worse.
in a worse way, where they like they're harder to use in a way that isn't good. They're less versatile, which just means that you just want to pick the normal guys because the less versatile ones, it doesn't matter if they've got all these cool benefits, you're just gonna take damage more often or lose more guys more often. Or the other category was that they didn't fulfill a role and they provided some other thing, but then because of that, you basically only had 2 actions to work with. And that, considering I found that most of the time, if you play smart and try to block the spawns when you can, you would usually at least have 3 Vec attacking at once. It's a non-option.
Yeah.
You're like guaranteeing that you're going to be taking damage every mission.
So
And
how
so-
many other squads have you played with?
I just played those 3. Although actually,
Okay.
I think my favorite experience when it comes to the squads was I decided to do like a custom squad where I made all 3 of them the punch guys, and it was actually
Go Power Rangers.
yeah, it was pretty good. I think that actually went way better than any of the specific mech ones. Like it actually wrecked house. It was surprisingly good.
I want to say that I personally disagree because it feels like, at least on the left column, on the right column, I can certainly see how it's more experimental. On the left, it feels like everyone consistently does something of that kind of caliber. My personal favorite, if I may, were the Frozen Titans, where one of it was a 2 damage. The main one had a 2 damage attack that flipped to the direction in which the person was attacking, and if you put 1 power core into it, which kind of sort of rare drops their upgrade parts, but it could give you a shield if you used it. Mirror Mech, which did 1 damage in opposite directions and pushed things back, and Ice Mech, which iced over both yourself and an enemy Vec, or wherever you want, really.
It could ice over buildings too to protect them. Right?
Yes. And that felt like a lot of fun for me because sometimes it was like, oh, I can't do anything with the Mirror Mech, but if I go over to the Ice Mech and break it out of the ice and then do something with the Ice Mech, I can be a lot safer in some fashion.
All right. Maybe I just needed to try out more of the mechs.
Yeah.
I just personally felt like most of them were gimmicky and not really worth their gimmicks.
I can understand that, but for me,
it might have just been that I hadn't done enough. You're right.
Yeah. I want to ask, what was people's favorite pilot?
Well, I'm kind of torn between. I had Victor Valentine, and believe it or not, I picked him like, oh, this character. It was like one of the time traveler ones that came in, and he had the ability where he could move through enemies without losing movement. Like he could just
Sort of like
which I think is actually an ability of Victor Valentine in DBA. Again, watch DBA.
If you want to hear this voice.
Of course. If you want to see another Nat 1 rule.
Yeah, if you want to see me suck ass.
Anyway.
But like the surprising thing is Victor Valentine's supposed to suck ass, but the second I got him, the games went amazingly, and it was my first game that I won, and so I feel like I beat the odds with Victor Valentine.
Yeah.
And then the other one was Booyah Bitches. Again for obvious reasons. Although I can say there's one third timing, which it wasn't actually a pilot; it was like an AI unit. But I was doing the last mission, and I was just in a situation where I only had 1 power grid. I think it was the second to last turn of the whole game, and I couldn't secure it the way I was because my guys just couldn't get over to where I could punch this one guy out of the way, and the guy with the the AI unit was dead, and so I had the upgrade where whenever you repair, everyone repairs on your team. And so because I couldn't do anything, I decided to do it, and I realized that picks up the AI, and so he would. I kept doing it, and my poor little buddy just kept sacrificing himself and saving me at the last moment, and that was
Perfect.
Cool. Yeah. When it comes to me and the pilots, I have used 4 thus far. You have your default guy, who I named Abe Lincoln. Then there's
He does kind of look like
his ability is that he gains ×2 EXP, which then he
Or
gets
+2 bonus.
okay, yeah, and then he gets
You
the
don't wanna
max
kill
level.
someone.
Then he gets the max level, and it's useless.
Yeah.
Then I had I forget what his name was, but I think it was like Abe Imasu.
Isamu.
Isamu.
Abe Isamu.
Yeah, Isamu, who I named Gruff and Tumble. I have used him like once or twice. I mean, I liked him. I liked the name I gave him. Then there was the one you said before, who was the gardening robot, who I don't know his real name because I named him Seto Kaiba.
His name is Prospero.
Yeah,
I have the
Prospero.
game up.
I named him Seto Kaiba, which does not fit his personality at all, but that's okay. And his ability is that he can grant a mech flight, which I have found useful
For one
approximately twice.
Yeah, so Seto Kaiba used his Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Yeah, exactly. And then yeah.
He is very good with a certain squad.
Yeah, and then
Steel Judoka.
the last pilot that I've got, I forget his name too, but his ability is that you can get 2 resets.
Isaac Jones.
Yeah, Isaac Jones. You can get 2 resets per battle, which you can reset your turn like once per battle normally. Because if you're like me and you suck, sometimes you need that. And
yeah, sometimes you make like a tactical mistake halfway through, like, oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
You could
That
do
would
this.
happen.
He's the one I named Bonzi Buddy, by the way.
Of course.
Yeah. But yeah, those are like the 4. And out of those 4, I probably liked Bonzi Buddy Isaac the most, simply because I used probably Prospero the most. I probably used him the most, but I found thus far Isaac's ability, I almost call him Bonzi Buddy again. Isaac's ability seems to be the one I've actually used the most, but I feel like once I use Abe Isamu. Once I use him a bit more, I have a feeling I'm probably gonna like him because he takes reduced damage. I think that's his thing.
Yes. Yes, he gains 1 armor.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to like him the more I try him out, at least comparatively. But I mean, there's a lot more time pilots to get throughout the game, and maybe I'll care enough to get them all, but I'm not sure. So
we'll see.
We'll see.
For me, aesthetically, all the robots are good, but I especially like Archimedes, who can move again after shooting if you put a power into him.
Ooh.
Oh, that one, I got that one. I never used him though.
Silica is preposterous. He is, 1 second. Yes, he's the only robot whose ability requires 2 power, and it reads, mech can act twice if it does not move, and you can see why that's 2 power, I assume. Though, my personal 2 favorites were Camila Vera, whose mech is unaffected by webbing and smoke, which is
oh god,
insane. But personality and aesthetic wise, my favorite was Ghana. I think I called him Gara accidentally a couple times. But for 1 power, he can deploy anywhere on the map, damaging adjacent enemies. Zanza may know him better as Booyah Bitches.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, of course.
And something I noticed with Ghana, but I'm sure it applies to everyone else, is that when your mech is 1 hit away from death, the sprite changes in some way for the pilot. And for Ghana, he gets scratched up. There are a couple cracks on his mask, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Or air quotes mask. And Chen Rong, which I don't think anyone has, gets noticeably angry and determined. I find that neat.
Yeah, I didn't notice. I know they turned red and glitchy, but I didn't really notice any specific things.
I noticed some of the random pilots you get, they look all sad, but that's about most. Yeah, that's most. And then Abe Lincoln or whatever his real name was, looked kind of angry when he's at like low health.
That was Ralph, I think.
Yeah, his name was Ralph. Right, I was gonna name him Ralph the Movie Maker, and then I decided to change to Abe Lincoln.
Yeah, of course.
Naturally.
Yeah, but.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else of very particular note?
I had two other things I was gonna say. My first is kind of going back to this topic again. I feel like if they had some kind of algorithm to check to make sure that there was a way.
Is it possible?
There was a way, even if it's not like good for units or whatever. If there was a way to stop every single building from getting destroyed, like there was some kind of algorithm that checked that, so that there was never. Even if it meant you had to sacrifice a unit or whatever, there was never an impossible building scenario. I think the game would have benefited a lot from that.
Yeah.
Because I felt like a lot like, at least on the first turn, because I understand if you position your guys in one corner or whatever, and then a guy flanks you, then you probably deserve that. But like, if you play like that, but I feel like because there's a bonus. I only found this out once, but if you complete an island without losing a single building or anything like that, then you actually get a bonus.
That is without failing any of these side objectives. I have broken buildings before, and
oh, it is okay. Well then forget my point, because I was gonna say if not breaking any buildings is so important, then it should be more skill dependent than luck dependent.
But
the
thing with that for me is that if that was the case, then I think that there would be some people who were just like, and now I'm gonna stare at this until I eventually find out how to do this flawlessly.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of the times it can be like almost mind bending, and I feel like it's something that most people, unless they really train themselves, they wouldn't be able to just consistently get every time you break the game. Like, because there were some really weird situations that you had to do sometimes in order to get out of something scot-free. And I feel like they could have leaned on those times more than just creating a scenario where it's impossible.
Yeah.
And then I was going to say one other thing. It was about the game's atmosphere. So the game tries to be really gritty. Like the game opens with the apocalypse, and you're like, we can't fix it. Let's just jump to another timeline and hope that we can save this version of Earth. But and like every time a building dies, you get a casualty number.
Yeah.
And like whenever there's permadeath, so your guys die forever if they mess up. And if a timeline ends, the implication is everyone on the timeline is gone.
Everyone is dead.
And on top of that, you only get to keep one of your guys. So you have to choose which of your units you get to keep for the next thing. I felt like, because it's the kind of game that it is, and you have to reset so often, it just kind of got numb to me. Like I kind of stopped caring. And I felt that like at first it was like, oh shit, I just let 100 people die, but like eventually it just like.
But after a bit, it's like
a thing. Like the way the game is, in which you lose so often and so frequently and have to reset, it really just kind of desensitized me to the whole thing, and the atmosphere just kind of fell away.
Especially for me, there would be like moments where like you'd have like there's these things where like the Vec they spawn their monsters, but sometimes those little like booster pods will come out. I think they're called scions, and
oh no, those guys,
the scions, and each one give like different like boosts to the Vec. So like one will increase one of them will increase their health, one of them will increase their damage, and my least favorite, one of them makes them explode when they die. And so basically it gets to the point where like, okay, I mean I can kill this monster and save the building, but it's gonna explode and kill you anyway, so oh well, nothing else I can do. So
Killer Queen by dust.
So it just felt, like Zanza was saying, it just sort of got rid of like 1,000 people died. I'm more sad that the building crumbled and I lost power. And and I get like that's kind of like a natural thing with games like this where you're grinding it out. But like for me personally, like do gritty scenarios work sometimes? Of course they do. There's a reason why there are so many of them that plenty do work. They're just
But,
not
like, well,
usually.
when things like
yeah,
this kind of games, the kind of game it is just works against that.
Yeah, there's that as well as just me personally as a person. I mean, I prefer when a game can take I like when a game can be serious, but also take things lighthearted when it needs to. And this is just like, oh, everything's all, you know. And I mean, like, yeah, it's not to say that, like, everything needs to have comedy in it. I don't mean to imply that. I just mean that, like, me personally, I prefer when things can, you know, like, take itself, liven up a little bit. Because, like, if I wanted to be sad, I don't know, I'd do things that was a bad joke.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say I'd cut an onion.
Well, yeah, there you go. I'd cut an onion.
Yeah.
If I wanted to be sad, I'd cut an onion, and
I would download the sad juice on
and I'd download the sad juice. I'd watch those commercials of puppies and, like, the puppy pounds that are all like, these guys need your help. Yeah, with that. Yeah, if I wanted to be sad, I'd do that. I do that, or watch, like, select episodes of Hunter x Hunter. But
yeah.
but like
every time I watch.
Yeah, but like yeah.
What about?
Yeah. You know, and it like Zanza was saying though, like the biggest problems with that comes in when, like, you're just grinding it out and it's like, okay, this has lost its grit to me. So what is the atmosphere? What does the atmosphere have left? Nothing. Because it's all grit. That's what it is. And yeah.
Yeah.
More of my crack shot theories. This may be another thing where just, like, constant death just kind of desensitizes you after a bit. But also, the silence is making me think I'm wrong.
Well, no.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, cause it's not a sort of, oh, I'm getting desensitized to death, so it's like, oh, God fucking damn it, you know. Another,
Okay, you're right.
I gotta abandon another timeline, you know.
Yeah.
Kill those dudes. You know, because an enemy just so happened to move in a position where no matter what I did, I could never beat them.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's
anyway.
all,
That's everything I have to say, at least that I can think of. What about you guys?
The only other thing that I think that we haven't really, like, actually touched on specifically is like the visual and audio presentation. Of the game, which
right.
I'm not sure about the audio, but I loved the pixel art.
Yeah. The pixel art was very. I enjoyed it a lot. It's not like the most complex thing in the world, but it definitely doesn't need to be, and it works very well for the kind of game it is. And on the note of Zanza just kind of brushing over the audio, like, I think, like, the sound design and, like, the sound effects were good for the most part, but the music was just kind of there. Like, I don't remember a single track from the game. So,
yes.
Just hurry up.
Yeah,
I kind of disagree. I like some of the music.
Yeah.
I turned the music down a lot because it just kind of I didn't like it. I found it annoying.
Yeah, and then
the sound effects were enough visual feedback for me.
Yeah.
Especially for the kind of, like, slow-paced strategy game it is.
Yeah, definitely. I think that
right.
that definitely works well. Is there anything else in particular that we want, like, final thoughts on Into the Breach? Final thoughts.
Into the Breach, interesting concept, occasionally really fun puzzle game. Most of the time, it's blah.
I would personally recommend FTL Faster Than Light over this. It's made by the same people.
As someone who has not really played many roguelikes before, I enjoyed it definitely for what it was, but I can see how people who are more experienced with the genre, or if I wish to just play this more and more, it could definitely get a bit stale. I think it's a good game. I'm gonna say that. I think it's definitely good. It definitely has a thing. But I feel like if you're gonna, it's not for everybody. I'd say that. And for me personally, I enjoyed it, but I'm not sure how often I'm gonna, like, come back to it after this whole podcast thing we're doing here.
I certainly.
But I definitely enjoyed it, and I would call it a good game. I would call it a good game. But it's not like I'm not gonna be writing home about it. Once we talk about it all in this podcast here, I'm not sure how often I'm gonna be mentioning it again.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I agree.
But I think for what it is, I don't think it's, like, the best thing ever. I don't think it's spectacular. I'd say it's good, and I enjoyed it, especially as someone who doesn't typically partake in these kind of games of this genre. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my final thoughts. I guess I'll stick with that 7 rating for now. Who knows? That
Yeah.
could change.
Sylvia,
Mhm.
final thoughts.
Final thoughts. More or less same. I enjoy it as an interesting strategy game, an interesting it's interesting how it keeps it special. It's interesting how I like how unique it is, but like I said, I would recommend FTL over this. And wasn't it an experience I enjoyed? Yes. Is it an experience I'm going to come back to? I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah, and I can say for one thing, I was not expecting, because I feel like we've been like super negative about the game, which
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
which
because like
yeah.
I think it's kind of hard to say
Yeah.
how much those specific really cool puzzle moments. It's kind of hard to elaborate how
Mhm.
good they are specifically.
Yeah, I definitely and on that, I feel like if the game sounds interesting to you, I think you should definitely give it a shot. I don't want to come off and like saying that everything about this game's negative, because no, there's a lot of good to it. It just kind of like what I mean. If you've been listening to what we've been saying, you know what we have our issues with it are, and you know we just have issues with it, and things that you know we would prefer to see better. It's not a bad game. I don't think it's a bad game by any means, and I just want to say that because I really hate being completely negative on things when I don't mean to be as negative, because you know I just want to make sure I'm coming across as how I want to come across. So yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, I feel as if that's like
we've been going.
for almost
yeah?
2 hours. Yeah, we've been going for almost
We've
2
been going
hours.
for like 2 hours.
Yeah,
We should probably
so-
wrap this up.
Yeah, we're gonna. As you're saying, we should probably wrap this up soon. I feel like
Which means
first off, before we, let's just do this now. Sylvia,
Mm-hmm.
do you know what you're suggesting for next time?
I do, and I want to say I am sincerely worried that this game may single-handedly destroy all of the goodwill you've built up from roguelikes.
Okay,
Ooh.
But it's going
Gods
to be
will be
Gods will be
watching, is it?
watching.
Gods will be
Yeah.
watching.
I knew it!
Okay.
I knew
Okay.
it.
I know nothing
Okay,
about
and
it, so
And how long would you give for when the next podcast will happen? How long do we have to complete this?
1 to 2 weeks. It depends on how lucky people are.
yeah.
All right, let's. I guess we're gonna have a 1 week podcast.
Okay,
unless something
okay.
comes up.
Yeah. So
Okay, can I read one of the achievements in this game?
yes.
Okay, give us an idea.
It's called Statistics, and it reads, "Don't let more than 10 million people die."
Oh.
Oh dear.
So here we go,
Yeah.
everybody.
So yeah,
man.
if you enjoyed this podcast and you want to join us for the next one to excuse me, if you want to join us for the next one to kind of know in advance the game that we'll be talking about, Gods will be watching. It's on Steam, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so go ahead, play along, and whenever the next episode comes out, because I'm not sure,
Probably in a week.
probably in a week, but we're not sure exactly when we're like posting this. So in a week could be variable, but we'll have to see. But you know, if you want to know what we're talking about, play that game. Besides that,
Look at that.
is there anything else that we really got to say here for the ending of our first episode of Game Library?
You're all fantastic.
Meh.
I guess. Well, that's a. I guess I'll end it off with my. I'll be a little bit charismatic.
Charismatic.
Yeah. So, if you like
Also,
us, yeah.
I was gonna say fuck Game Freak.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Fuck
Yeah.
Yeah. If you
Don't
guys,
include the best character.
if you guys like us in the podcast, I mean, we still got to decide. As of the recording, we still don't. I mentioned this earlier, but we don't know where we're posting this exactly. But if it's on one of our YouTube channels, we'll be probably posting the rest on that YouTube channel. I'll probably include social media stuff if anybody has it besides me in the description, or whoever's posting it can include social media stuff if you care about us enough. And I know I mentioned it earlier, but if you want more of us specifically, and you like tabletop RPGs and you like really stupid bullshit, you can check out the Twitch channel that we talked about earlier.
And Fine Dining, our Discord
Yeah, and
channel.
Fine Dining, our Discord channel for everything on that Twitch server, or Twitch channel, whatever. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode of Game Library. I wasn't sure what to expect going into this first episode, but I enjoyed it, and I am looking forward to
Ditto.
continuing onward with it. So I
You're
hope
making
you guys.
a mistake by doing so, but okay.
So I hope
Yeah.
you guys that are listening in have a good rest of your day / night / whatever that you are currently experiencing.
See ya.
Yeah. I guess I was about to ask if you guys have anything else to say before we just cut it.
Oh no, I gotta go like immediately after this, like real fast.
Oh, okay. Well,
Bye.
I guess bye then, everybody. Thanks.
See ya, nerds.
See ya.